The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. I'm Andy MacNeil. I'm here on weekdays to provide NHL projections, betting advice, strategies, and picks to help you make informed bets throughout the NHL season. This show is sponsored by NorthStar Bets. You can check out NorthStar Bets via the link in the description below. They offer early odds on the next day's NHL games. So we'll be talking about Tuesday's big 12 game slate in just a little while. But yeah, we're back after a nice little 3-0 weekend here. Washington and Carolina cruised over the total. They scored 13 goals combined, including the shootout winner. Then Los Angeles took down the Lightning 4-3 in extra time on Saturday. They looked like they were going to win that one in regulation. They were leading 3-1 with about 10 minutes left in the game, but Tampa Bay forced overtime. Thankfully, the Kings got the job done. And then finally, the Montreal Canadiens, they took down the Seattle Kraken. I bet the Canadiens at plus 140, 1 unit to win 1.4 units. Tweeted about that on Twitter at Digital Gambler early on Sunday morning. That line stuck around all day. You could get that bet all day long. I saw some other models out there. For example, Money Puck thought the Seattle Kraken should be around minus 160. We know they heavily regress their odds to the market, though. So what does that really tell you? The evolvinghockey.com, they have a game projection model as well. They thought the Kraken should be minus 200 favorites. And I thought both of those numbers were whack. I thought the Canadians should be a plus 125 underdog, no more than that. And so I bet Montreal at plus 140, and they spanked them 5-1 as road underdogs. But let's break down the NHL schedule for the next few days. Of course, if you've been here before, you know what you're looking at. The rest column tells you how many days rest teams have across the league heading into their games. The load column gives you a little bit more context, tells you whether a team is playing 2 games in 2 nights, 3 games in 4 nights, 4 games in 6, 5 games in 7, or the dreaded 6 in 9 nights. So I won't spend a lot of time here. You can pause the video. You can take a screenshot. You can check out Jeff Vayette's article at canadasportsbetting.ca, which will drop later today. He breaks down the entire NHL schedule day to day for the week, picks out all of the rest mismatches, so you can get a pretty good handle on what the rest of the week is going to look at in terms of the rest advantage for the home and the away team. Of course, I've talked a lot on this show about why that matters. Rest is a weapon in the NHL and has a big impact on home win percentage. But there are just 2 games on the docket on Monday. Vegas is in St. Louis to take on the Blues, while Los Angeles is in Vancouver taking on the Canucks. It's the third time that those 2 teams have met recently, so a lot of familiarity there. I don't have a whole lot of interest in this slate from a betting perspective, but I did just lock in a bet on the St. Louis Blues. I didn't really love this bet to begin with, but the market has been moving towards the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think Vegas has been playing up to their standard as of late. Jordan Binnington is expected to start in goal for the Blues, who are currently plus 123 at NorthStar Bets, but they're available at plus 133 at a couple of sports books, plus 137 at another sports book, even plus 141 at one big sports book that's available in Canada elsewhere. And at plus 137, that those odds are long enough to warrant a 0.75 unit bet on the home dog. So I've got the Blues at home to beat the Golden Knights at plus 137. It's a 3/4 unit play. Let's go Blues. But, there are 12 games on the schedule for Tuesday. So let's get into Tuesday's projections and picks. Starting off, we've got the Boston Bruins taking on the Florida Panthers, and the winner of this game is going to put themselves in a pretty good position to win the Atlantic Division. The Panthers and Bruins both had 97 points. But Florida's in the lead because they've got a game in hand, and they've got 6 more regulation wins than Boston does. My model says the Panthers have a 71% chance of winning the division as a result. Of course, there is some concern as to what their lineup is going to look like. Of course, Aaron Ekblad remains out for the Panthers. Alexander Barkov, though, he's missed the last 3 games. And this one's a little bit peculiar because, heading into the first of those 3 games, it sounded like Tkachuk was the one that we should expect to miss some time. Barkov was trending towards playing that game. But it ended up not being the case where Kachuk actually played and Barkov went on to miss the game. I assume that would mean he would be back on the weekend. That was not the case. So he's missed his last 3 games. But head coach Paul Maurice says that he could return as early as Tuesday against the Boston Bruins. I would imagine that they want him in the lineup for this one. Big implications as far as the division standings go. And the projection that you see on the screen currently, minus 120, means that that's what I think the Florida Panthers odds should be if Barkov is in the lineup. So if he's not in the lineup, you could bring this one down to about a 50-50 shot for either team. Another game with huge playoff implications on the other end of the spectrum. I'm wearing the Capitals hat today. They got another big win on Sunday, shutting out the Jets 3-0. Of course, they won a wild one over the Carolina Hurricanes 7-6 in a shootout. They've now got a 60% chance of making the playoffs after beating Carolina and Winnipeg this weekend. Detroit sitting at 40%. So this one could swing things quite a bit in either direction, more so for the Red Wings, but I think this one is priced mostly right, with the Washington Capitals listed as a minus 114 favorite according to the model. And that is basically the midpoint price now because we've got the caps up around minus 127 at NorthStar Bets. Another interesting matchup we've got on Tuesday. We've got Philadelphia in New York to take on the Rangers. And the Flyers, they've been a decent road bet this season, winning 48.6% of the games versus average odds of about 44%. For 4.95 units won year to date. The Rangers, they've only lost 9 home games all season, though, winning 73.5% of the games at MSG versus average odds of 61.9% or minus 162 for 7.05 units. So, two profitable teams in both situations, but the Rangers a bit more profitable, and they've got a pretty significant home edge here. I don't think there is any value on either side right now, but I'm a hell of a lot closer to betting on the Flyers than I am to bet on the Rangers. A game I do have some betting interest in is the Carolina Hurricanes. They're in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. And Pittsburgh, they've been an awful bet overall this season, but most of that is due to their 34.3% winning percentage on the road. Only the San Jose Sharks and the Chicago Blackhawks have been less profitable than the Penguins on the road this season on the money line. The Penguins have been a below average team at home as well. They've won just 41.4% of the game so far on home ice this season, despite their average odds being around 57%. Carolina, they've won 60% of its road games this season, and they've been slightly profitable year to date. However, after going 6-10 on the road to start the season, the Canes have gone 15-4 straight up on the road since. This season, the Penguins are 9-3 to the under as the home dog, while Carolina is 16-12-2 to the under as the road favorite. I like the Hurricanes here. It's their 4th game in 6 days. But with the Penguins coming back after a road trip, I still think the Hurricanes should be priced around minus 185 according to the model, and that is enough for me to risk uh, around 0.85 units to win a half unit at minus 172, the current odds at NorthStar Bets. So that is my only bet that I'm locking in early here for Tuesday. Of course, I've got a 3/4 unit bet on the St. Louis Blues for Monday, but just the Hurricanes at minus 172 to win a half unit for Tuesday. I'm sure that some other stuff will pop up, but as of right now, that's the only real value bet that I think is worth betting on at this point. Big matchup between the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets. And Edmonton, they have been a road favorite 29 times this season. They've gone 16-13 straight up, 55.2%. If you had bet $100 on the Oilers to win each of those road games, you'd be down about $375, betting average odds of around minus 175. Edmonton is 11 and 18 against the puck line in those games as the road favorite. That's a 37.9% win rate against average odds of 42.7% or plus 134. They were down around plus 123 to cover the puck line against the Senators on Sunday. Of course, Ottawa won the game 5-3, Edmonton blowing a 3-1 lead. I guess they, maybe just expensed all their energy celebrating Zach Hyman's 50th goal of the year because they looked pretty shaky after that, and the Sens battled back to win that game. But yeah, the Edmonton Oilers as a road favorite this season, just not a good bet, not a profitable bet. Just proof you can't bet on the New York Yankees in every game and expect to win money, right? So I think between the current form of both teams and the fact that Winnipeg has been a good home team year to date, my model says that this one is basically a coin flip. Winnipeg listed as a minus 103 favorite. The Jets, they've looked really average recently. They ranked 14th in expected goals at 5-on-5, 22nd in expected goals in all situations, according to Evolving Hockey. I would not reach to bet on the Oilers here, though. 22 of the 23 Jets home wins this season have come in regulation, making them the second best regulation bet on home ice behind the St. Louis Blues. So the Jets know how to lock it down at home. Another one that I'm pretty interested in here is the Vegas Golden Knights playing their second game in as many nights in Nashville against the Predators. So the Predators will have a 2-day rest advantage over the Golden Knights, with Vegas being in action on Monday. Sportsbooks have been wising up here a little bit, though. The Predators opened up at minus 137 on the money line. My model has them listed at minus 139, so no bargain to be had on the Predators, at least not in the current market. But Nashville playing very well right now, and they deserve to be a sizable favorite against the Vegas Golden Knights. Anaheim at Seattle, no real, betting interest in this one, but there's no way that you can bet on the Seattle Kraken. Talked a little bit about just how outrageous I thought the price was on Sunday. Well, Seattle is 9-8 as home favorites this season. However, if you take away 4 games in which their odds were minus 200 or more, they're 5-8 as the favorite on home ice. The Kraken have been the least profitable home team this season, winning just 38.9% of their home games versus average odds of minus 110 or 52.38%. If you had bet $100 on the Kraken to win each home game straight up this season, you'd be down about $1,000. So don't be laying minus 200 on the Seattle Kraken. Don't take them to win on the puck line. Just stay the hell away from this team unless you're betting, unless you're finding some value to bet against them. Or maybe the draw, which has happened a lot for the Seattle Kraken this year. They're one of the teams that go to overtime a lot more than the average. But as much as Montreal was a good bet in Seattle on Sunday, they're not a good bet on Tuesday in Colorado. So taking Montreal plus 140 against Seattle, that was a no-brainer. Like I said, Seattle, one of the worst home teams in the NHL, and the Canadians are 8-6 straight up as the road underdog when their money line odds are plus 165 or shorter. However, Montreal is just 2-15 as the road underdog when their money line odds are plus 200 or longer. They're going to be a lot longer than plus 200 on Tuesday when they're in Colorado. And yeah, Seattle's one of the worst home teams in the NHL. The same can't be said about the Avalanche, who are arguably the best home team in hockey. Colorado has won 82.4% of their home games this season, so about as perfect as you can be on home ice. Of course, they've been a big favorite in a lot of those games, but nonetheless, they've been the second most profitable bet on home ice on the money line this season. So the fact that Colorado has been pretty chalky has not stopped them from winning a lot higher than the odds suggest. So while I wouldn't be laying a huge price on the Avs here, I certainly would not be betting on the Montreal Canadiens to beat them on their home ice. Outside of that, pretty much all I wanted to talk about on today's show, but I did want to mention that there are some injuries worth monitoring heading into Wednesday's game between Tampa Bay and Boston. The Lightning, they're going to have Monday and Tuesday off after returning from California, successful road trip in California, but they could be without Braden Point and Victor Hedman on Wednesday when they host the Boston Bruins. Hedman and Point both missed Sunday's game versus Anaheim. I think that could be due to, load management or just, simply a maintenance day. I mean, they were still able to beat the Ducks without both of those players, but neither player seems to be dealing with anything serious. But I think bettors should keep an eye on this one for some news as it relates to their status as we get closer to Wednesday's game against Boston. But yeah, that pretty much does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. Drop a like on the video if you have not already. Subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel, helps out a ton. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me on this Monday morning, or I guess afternoon, depending on where you're at. Two bets, one bet for Monday, the St. Louis Blues at plus 137. That is a 3/4 unit play. I would play the Blues at a half unit at around plus 130. A 3/4 unit play at plus 134 or better. Up after the plus 140 range, that's a 1 unit play. But right now at plus 137, it's a 3/4 unit play for me. And then a bet on the Carolina Hurricanes straight up on the money line, minus 172 currently at NorthStar Bets. You can check them out via the link in the description below to find minus 172 odds on the Hurricanes. Currently the best price in market as things stand right now. I think that's good to win a half unit on Carolina. But yeah, that does it for today's show. Good luck with your bets on Monday. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.